Welcome to the Peavey Podcast. I'm Fred Poole from Peavey Electronics. I'm here with Freddie Eaves.
Hi, y'all.
What was that?
I said hi, y'all.
There you go. That's more like it. So, Freddie, tell me a little bit about how long you worked for Peavey.
Been here right at, it was 35 years last May. I'm working on 36.
And what is it you do at Peavey precisely?
I am the circuit board manager, circuit board design manager. We do all the insides of all the products, anything got a circuit board in it or just about any other thing. I'd say the circuit boards mainly. That's our bailiwick as far as getting our specialty out. But
so the circuit board's the thing inside the product that, that you put all the things on that makes the thing work, right?
That's what makes it happen.
So tell me a little bit about why circuit board design is important, especially in audio.
Well, audio is its own little animal, and there's certain techniques that we've learned through the years, and I've worked with some fantastic audio engineers that we've gone, like our inputs, you have to do like mixers, of course, as we're hearing right now. They've got to be precise and free of any noise and all this other. And there's some layout techniques that we use when we assemble. And
those layout techniques, do they help prevent noise? Do they make a product sound better? And how do you know which way and what to do? Is it experience or how do you get there?
Well, it's kind of a black magic, if you will, because in some instances, with traces on a circuit board, how close they are, or how far they weigh, how they relate to a ground, which ultimately will make the difference between a hum or something completely silent.
So is it you're saying that if traces, and that's the pieces of copper that the signal travels on it, basically what a circuit board is it replaces a bunch of freestanding wires.
That's what it is.
That's right.
Printed wire.
So you're telling me that if the traces, which are the pieces of wire, are too close together, sometimes frequencies can jump from one trace to another, or how does that work?
Take a mixer, for example. You've got the different channels that run through there, and you've got the way the circuit was, if you've got an output next to an input on the next channel, that's some of the considerations you've got, because you could possibly generate noise or crossover into the other channel and pick that unwanted noise out. You want everything to be silent. Mixers is the ultimate place where we really concentrate on getting it right, because you've got to reproduce what you're putting into them with a microphone.
So tell me a little bit about that. You work on a lot of different products. I mean, obviously, Peavey makes everything from a microphone to a mixer to a speaker to...
Sure.
So you work on every single product that Peavey's made over the years?
I have pretty much... I came here in 1983, and we were hand-taping circuit boards. So basically, when I came, Hartley and Jack Sonnemeyer were still in the taping process.
Taping, what is that?
Hand taping.
What does that mean?
You have a certain like a grid. We used a grid with 50,000 squares on it all across the board, and we kind of pre-plan. You draw it out, draw your circuit board out, and tape it to a light table under that. Place you a piece of mylar on the top. And basically, we get these rolls of just different size dark black tape, and you tape reproduce what you've done on the drawing with the tape, and eventually that becomes a photo image that you can reverse, take it to the circuit boards. They were etched. They're etched through a process of
it's chemical etching.
Yeah, it's a chemical etching. It really is,
and
back in those days, we built our own circuit boards in-house. Peavey but they were only single-sided. Now with today's complicated circuits, we're probably 12-layer board is nothing to.
So you're telling me you're old enough to remember not having computers to lay out circuit boards.
Yeah, I got the first computer.
It certainly doesn't look it.
Well, I got the first PCAT, I think it was, and it had graphics and all this other real cool stuff, and it was really a breakthrough for Peavey. I had probably the first. There was an XT and an AT. AT was like the supercomputer for back then, and it compared to today's, it's like a graphics program that you would use for making flyers and stuff like that. Everything was layer based. It's without going into much detail, but it was a major advance to be able to use the computer to lay out the circuit boards. It was a lot cleaner, because in hand taping, if you had long night the night before, your lines will be a little weavy and all that other stuff. But with a computer, it's accurate, and it's you're able to get in there to the thousandth of an inch and do what you need to do.
You know, what's incredible is Peavey's been around now for almost 54 years.
Right.
And you say that a lot, but unless you've experienced being here for that amount of time or a good portion of it,
right.
let's take a look at what happened in 1965. That was before we landed on the moon. I mean, that was way before personal computers. That's before businesses were using computers. And yet, you've been here from the time before we were using computers to lay out circuit boards till now, and we're making some of the most advanced products we've ever made as a company. Tell me about some of the most complicated products that you've worked on.
The media matrix problems are projects have been
problems. They're probably a problem.
That's accurate. Let me put that out.
That's
not
right.
retracting that statement, because some of the complexity of those. You get into the digital end. That's a whole new series of products, because digital has a habit of radiating out. We've got all these FCC and all this other agency requirements that we've got to satisfy when we lay the boards out and all this other stuff. But in these advanced products like the Neon and the Neo, or whatever the name of the I was trying to think of the media matrix products that we put out. You get a little bit of taste of everything. Sometimes you may have an analog input going into a digital system, which is common now with some of the digital mixers. But the media matrix problem, problems. I'm sorry. The projects are unique. It's a little bit of something we've come out with. We've got working on some stuff now that it's rocket science. It really is rocket science. It's
so you're saying you're a rocket scientist?
No, I've worked on them, but that's about all I got to contribute to the thing. But it's a learning project. Every time you start on something, that's one thing I enjoy about my job. It's like getting paid to put puzzles together all day, because it's a connect that we call it simplified. It's connect the dots, but through the engineering process of the engineer coming up with a schematic, well, we're duplicating that in 3D. We're actually connecting these components together to form a circuit board and a certain function of a circuit board. And like I said, it gets specific. We've learned specific ways to get Peavey's products.
So you were talking a minute ago about a single layer circuit board, right? Now I understand that we're using some circuit boards that are 14 layers and even beyond that.
Yeah, there have been. I think the last one I worked on was 12 layer. I know, but what that allows you to do is these sensitive signals that I've talked about. It allows you to surround them in ground and keep those quiet, where they would normally clocks on a circuit board. How all the chips work together, how they get synced together and to work on in this high-speed digital stuff. You need the higher layer count to get achieve some of that sometimes.
And that's where the black magic comes in.
Well, it is. If you're talking computer level stuff.
Right.
I mean, some of this products are definitely on what a motherboard on the computer would be like, and just that sensitive, and there's certain ways.
Well, tell me a little, what's really interesting about Peavey is that we are doing it from the beginning to the end, almost every part of the project. Right. There's a lot of our competitors these days, a lot of people in the industry that weren't there, 54 years ago, and now there's companies that specifically do power supplies, let's say, and they do speakers, and they focus on these one things. But uniquely about Peavey is we've always taken the time to do just about every step of it, and every project that you get is 100% a unique design to Peavey Electronics. Tell me about why that makes it special or better than our competitors.
Well, it's purpose-built, I guess you might say. A vendor with like a power supply, like you said, we can integrate that power supply on the same board that we're putting a power amp on. By combining the two, we've saved cost. We've able to streamline the design, create less wiring. There's so much advantages to being able to kind of customize the designs and grouping designs. We can have one, what we call an array, and it may have a whole project on it. It may have the patch board in the back. It may have a power supply, a power amp, a preamp. But but it's all, you can basically have an array of a complete project, like a Bandit.
And tell me about why that's, I think the thing that strikes me as most important about that is if we are building every component of the chain, what we're trying to do, and I think what we do a better job of, is making each component purpose-built for the application. So,
right.
For instance, a power supply for a Bandit or a guitar amp is completely different than what you'd want to use in a PA system. And the fact that we're doing it specifically for that design, I'm sure it lends it a lot what you do too.
Yeah, of course, a power supply for a MSDI box or something like that versus a IPR, which is extreme power as far as levels that we're looking at. Yeah, it's like I said, as you go up, more demand, the more complicated the design can be, but still you get that technique that makes it work better. Switching power supplies, that's one of those things that we have to learn. It's just, there's so many, like you say, power supply, there's different types of power supplies. And
so Freddie, you're a drummer, right? You're a gigging musician. You play out on the weekends?
Played last night, as a matter of fact.
It's one of the things about Peavey a lot of people probably don't know is almost everybody in here, all the engineers, the sales guys, that have some sort of customer service guys.
Right.
We're either musicians, we're sound reinforcement enthusiasts, or almost everybody and I think that really helps us make a better company, because if somebody sits down to you and says, I've got this project where I'm working on a power speaker, well, obviously you know what the end result's supposed to be like, and I think that makes you better at your job, right?
It does. It really, because my band right now, we're an all Peavey band, for even the drums. I've got a 9-piece kit of the old Peavey drums that we built a while back, and but that's what you see on stage, and we know it's going to work, and it's just been a lot of trust in the product, because you play what you
built.
What's built, yeah, that's for sure, and it gives you comes from here too when you see Grand Ole Opry or something like that, and you see one of your amps that you've been designed or did something like that, that just really, gets you some pride.
Stage. Yeah, well, it's true. Over the 54 years we've been in business, we've sold to 136 countries around the world.
Sure.
I haven't gone. You can go just about anywhere in the world and see something that's built by Peavey. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Hartley and how it's been to work here for Hartley Peavey.
He's pretty much a hands-on guy. When he come, we share an interest. We like shooting sports and collecting guns and all this other stuff, like a lot of Southern gentlemen do, I guess you might say. But he's always straightforward with you. He's when he's got a real funny side to him that I probably see. We go out on the range and we can just talk, get away. Sometimes just get away from the business and talk about guy stuff. But Hartley's always been a mentor, and he's just, I've always loved to be around him. I'm proud to work for his company.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, me as well. I'm 54 years into it. He's still at it.
I know. It's time to
well,
slow down a little bit.
Yeah, right. It's who you are at that point. It's
Sure.
not what you do. And obviously, he's put his heart and soul into this business. Continues to. Tell me a little bit about the culture at Peavey, and maybe a funny story or something you remember throughout the years with the people that have been here.
Had a variety of people come through here, and the one thing that I've been proud to be of is the people and the friends, and the people around here are just great. That if you had to pick one thing to that keeps somebody at a job, it would be the people, and that's a good atmosphere that we've had. Always had a great group of guys in engineering. Like I said, a bunch of musicians, so we had a lot of common stories. We had a lot of shared. Well, I can think of the story I may have mentioned to you before, but funny story. It was getting ready for everybody. Really been busting it, getting ready to go to a big NAMM show. We had all the stuff, gear ready to go. Had to run. The chief engineer at the time was Jack Sonnemeyer.
Jack Sonnemeyer, tell me a little bit about Jack.
Jack was a genius. He was back in the CS 800 era, all that early parts of Peavey, and that was really when I think he.
What was his personality like?
He was. I'll be honest with you. He's from New Jersey, so he was. he could have an attitude too, you might say.
Right.
But no, Jack was just as nice a guy. When you get him off the side, he's just one-on-one.
So you guys are getting ready for NAMM, and
Yeah, we were getting ready for NAMM, and we decided it was I happened to decide I was going to play a joke on him or whatever. But anyway, we got him distracted or whatever, and I ran out to this little pickup truck that we ran stuff between buildings with, and I knew Jack was going to be in a hurry when he did, so I went out there and cut everything on. Heater in the sun, it was summer, heater, windshield wipers, everything, anything, it had an on button, I put it on in the truck and cranked the volume up. But anyway, he came out there and just clicked the truck on, everything started blaring, going off.
Of course he knew it was you.
I think he saw me coming back in the building. I don't know if it was, but he got an idea, and he shut the truck off immediately. I could see him. We had glass front on the building. I could see him coming back in, and I just watched him walk right back around me behind my desk. He pulled out a pair of dikes and cut my coffee pot, cut my electric coffee pot lead, and just turned around and threw the dikes down on the desk and kept walking. It was so funny. It was just a big joke. We had that. He was such a great guy. I mean, he squirted somebody down with a fire extinguisher one time, and it was all in jest. It was all in fun. We've had a good time the whole ride here at Peavey. It's a comfortable place to work.
It's a good group of people, and like you say, it's a comfortable place to work. You won an award recently.
No.
Yes. Tell me about the award you won at Peavey Electronics.
I seem to have developed a talent for office design or whatever.
Was it interior decorator of the year or something like that? Tell me where does that come from?
Well,
the disco lights in your office, possibly?
Yeah, I acquired it was a sample of some of the LED lights or whatever, and I stuck them off. We had recently moved offices, and I said, well, this is a chance for me to spruce it up a little bit, and I've got one corner illuminated. It's got a rotating colors on this LED that shoot up in one corner. I've got 2 John Lennon prints in there in my office too that I salvaged from one of the other when we moved over to the thing. So, and it's got uplight, and it's all working on a computer all day. You want a lower light. I like lower light. Don't get a screen glare or anything like that. So
better for the disco lights.
And everybody says, "Who is this? His new man?" Mary came in there and announced it was my new man cave.
Man cave.
And, all. It was just
and summarily won an award in front of the what I've heard is people are trying to get you to help them with their new offices.
Well,
here, right?
I think they want me to move desk and file cabinets. I said, I'll draw it out on paper. That's a lot less heavy. But it's good to be. I mean, if I did something right, I like it. I want to. That's what I'm saying. I'm here to help. I'm just one of those guys that'll help people out.
And you have been. And I got to tell you, I appreciate what you do here at Peavey. It's one thing to have an idea, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of guys out there that have ideas. There's no shortage of them in this industry from anybody, but it's sales guys or product development guys. It's an entirely different thing to take somebody's idea and actually turn it into reality and solve a problem in the music industry, or make a better product or a new product that inspires somebody to play it a little bit better. And it's people like you that make that happen. Mm-hmm. And I think what's important here for me in these podcasts is to let people get to know the people that do that at Peavey, and a little bit about who we are and what we're passionate about. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit here and talk to me today. And
more than happy.
And I'm sure we'll do it again.
Great.
So tune in next time for the next edition of Peavey Podcast here, and Fred Poole and Freddie Eaves signing off.